of America.
Prepare for launch in 3, 2, 1.
And away we go.
Say A, say M, say E, say R, say I, C, say A, M.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Ron Edwards American Experience Talk Show, where our unalienable rights are celebrated. And now, your radio refreshment, Ron Edwards.
Well, hello, and welcome. I'm Ron Edwards, and this is the Ron Edwards American Experience being brought to you by Constitutional Grounds Coffee. Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone, as we celebrate this great day of fun and frivolity. St. Patty's Day has a long history. It goes back to the time when Great Britain and that entire area, Ireland and all of that, was occupied still by Roman forces. And there was a gentleman, his name was Patrick, and he grew up in slavery, but he escaped. And guess what, folks? After escaping, he grew up and he became a monk, a Christian monk. And he established churches and places like that all over that part of Europe throughout his life. And after he died, there began an annual recognition of his life and his achievements. And the holiday began as a religious or Christian observance day. But around the 1800s, when the Irish moved to the United States, things began to change a little bit. And I think it was in Boston. I'm going from memory, history lessons here. Around the 1870s, some thereabouts, Boston began what became known as the St. Patrick's Day Parade, a tradition here in the United States. Soon after, followed by cities like New York, and it moved west to Cleveland and Chicago and other great cities, and which many of those cities still to this day have large St. Patrick's Day parades. Cleveland's is going on right now as I speak. Huge, as is New York's, and great tradition. And of course, there's a lot of corned beef eaten today. Did you know that originally corned beef was not the meat of choice in celebration of St. Patty's Day? That did not come about until much later on in the West. Because back then, when it was primarily celebrated in Europe, the meat of choice was pork and I think lamb or chicken or those. And beef was primarily used, they used cows mostly for milk. And they did not often use cows to eat back in the day. But, new traditions happen and are drawn up when it comes to celebrating holidays and the like. And to all who are of Irish heritage, happy St. Patty's Day. And it's something, as growing up in Cleveland, everyone was green on that day. Everyone. It didn't matter what color you were. Some years we were allowed to leave school or not go to school that day because people would go downtown. A million folks would head downtown for the giant St. Patty's Day parade. And we'd see all the bars and everything open, of course, and all the churches. That was hilarious to see people streaming in and out of the churches and streaming in and out of the bars simultaneously. But for the most part, it was a good time had by all. And, of course, us children enjoyed the fact that we didn't have to be in school that day. And it's ironic, though, back then, St. Patrick's Days were a lot colder than they are now. Usually we had snow on the ground in Cleveland with crocuses popping up, and we knew that spring was around the corner. But like I said, everyone was happy to be enjoying the luck of the Irish on St. Patty's Day, and we all had a good time. America was the melting pot, right? And in many holidays we all celebrated together. But anyway, moving right along, despite the frivolity of today, we've got to get to it, folks. Oh, hum. You know something? It's really irritating to watch how law and order, the concept of high morality is just being thrown out the door, and liars are rewarded. People like Jussie Smollett, who was let out of prison, he knowingly lied, drew the attention of the entire country because he made up a story about being attacked by Trump supporters and caused valuable police man hours, things of that nature. Made up the thing about the rope around his neck, which he got himself and put around his own neck, paid a couple of black guys to rough him up a little bit. All a bunch of bull capital S with a hit. He was given a very short sentence of 5 months, and yet they let him out. They let him out. Very shameful, very sad example for young people. It's teaching young people, hey, you can tell a lie. You can involve the entire country in your lie, in your bull capital S with a hit, and you'll get a verbal slap on the wrist from the judge, and you'll be let out. On your appeal or whatever. It's just crazy. It's wrong. It's very, very sad. Well, thinking of something that is sad, even much sadder than that, and that's pretty sick. Was brought to my astute attention this morning. Lord have mercy. If you happen to see during the spring and warm summer months and early autumn, if you happen to see in your neighborhood a pink truck motoring about where they are marketing ice cream, but they'll also be marketing information about how you can get an abortion. Sick stuff, man. Come get your ice cream and information about killing your babies. Isn't that just wonderful? I mean, the evil people they just don't give up. It's like every day you wake up and they continue to just find new avenues. Now they want to make abortion appealing to the young, to the little ones. It's bad enough that they're being brainwashed in government school. It's bad enough that they're being foolishly taught by liberal ministers now in church, if they go to church, and even in liberal synagogues now, this inclusionary mentality, which is what? It's killing the nation. Yep. So this is bad. This is bad stuff. So can you imagine? Remember, there used to be an ice cream truck called Mr. Softy. Ding 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 ding. And he'd come through. Now I don't know what the song would be, as one of those pink trucks come rolling through the neighborhood, passing out information to children as they buy their ice cream about killing babies. By the way, also, we're going to be talking about something that has returned. Yep. Something has returned. It's not good. We'll be talking about that and much more on this, the Ron Edwards American Experience.
Heavens to Murgatroyd.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth on the Ron Edwards American Experience. Constitutional grounds. the hot air roasted coffee that produces a smoother, richer, healthier, and less acidic coffee. Our unique hot air roasted coffee has a most delicious taste everyone is raving about. Because you want the best, Constitutional Grounds is the coffee you want in your cup. Simply go to theronedwards.com and click on to the Constitutional Grounds coffee display to make your purchase, and to be sure to use the RE20 promo code, and you will receive a 20% discount. Remember, Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day, or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884. Know someone with a drinking or drug problem? Learn how to get sober after we share these stories.
I was 35 with 2 beautiful children when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. After my divorce, I went into a depression cycle and started drinking more often and using prescription drugs. After my second DWI and arrest, my ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me.
I was 17 when I became addicted to heroin and meth. I thought I could quit on my own, but I couldn't. It hit me when I was arrested.
Get sober now. Your private insurance may cover costs, and we'll get you here. It's simple. Just call Elite Rehab Placement right now. Please, don't wait. Your life matters to us. 800-213-9264. Call right now before it's too late. 800-213-9264.
America's favorite get-together, the Ron Edwards American Experience. Join in at 985-218-0185. That's 985-218-0185.
This is Kyle Warren, the Professor of Politics, and you're listening to The Ron Edwards on the Ron Edwards American Experience.
Hi folks, Wes Taylor, America's General Contractor, bridging the gap between homeowners and their homes. Let's do it again every Saturday morning at 8, right here on Talk Radio 98.3 and 1510 WLAC.
The sun shines west, but I know where the sun shines best. Mammy, Mammy, my heartstrings are tangled around Alabama. I'm coming. Sorry, I need to wait.
Mammy is back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience. I'm Ron Edwards. Yep, to announce the return of Mammy. Yep, you might remember Mammies. Mammies were around during the time of slavery. Those would be the black females who were told to raise the little white children up to a certain age. And, of course, let's not forget, Mammy was in the Gone with the Wind movie, and other movies, too. The famous Mammy, well, guess what? She's back. Guess how she's returned? I was looking at, I was shown a couple of videos on TikTok. And I saw a video last night as well. And it was a bunch of black females proudly talking about the raising of white babies. Now, on the surface, there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing. These modern-day mammies proudly aborted their own black babies if they were black baby boys. And so they decided to, after killing their own black boy babies, they've decided to go ahead and adopt white boy babies. Because there is a growing sect of black females who viciously hate black males, whether they're a little boy, innocent little baby, or grown adults or whatever. It doesn't matter if they're good guys or whatever. He can be the perfect gentleman, but he's black, and they hate them. And these are people that have aborted their babies who are black and are proudly seeking to adopt white babies. And this is also being encouraged by the agencies. And so this is a step up from what has traditionally been going on in the black American communities. It used to be that the black females only mistreated their boys, verbally abused them and told them they were nothing and mistreated them in many ways. And then, of course, America would wonder why so many black boys seem to be involved in bad activities or don't seem to have much high regard for females, especially black ones. Because people would turn their backs and ignore the causes. See, everything that happens, there's a cause and effect. And of course, I could get into the history of the mammy and why there's this connection, this sick connection between lots of mammy-eyed black females and the white man. But I won't do that today on this happy day of St. Patrick's Day. But I just brought it up because, my gosh, I saw these videos. Had I not seen these videos, this is something that I could not have imagined myself. But then again, the left, no matter what color, they always find new levels of depravity. I mean, it's like they never stop. No matter what the issue is. So now you have a growing segment of black females who collectively hate black males, whether they're a brand newborn baby or a grandfather. It doesn't matter. That are seeking to adopt and worship white boys. This is sick stuff, my friends. Sick, sick, sick. And like I said, on the surface, I would have no problem with it. With it. It doesn't matter to me. It's not about the color thing. It's the principle behind this particular issue, though, and what these people are doing. And to me, these are people. See, when you have a multiplicity of these kinds of negative activities, it adds to the overall destruction of the fabric of our nation. That's why I bring up stuff like this. Not to sensationalize. Yeah, I was shocked when I saw it. Trust me, it was shocking, and it's like they were celebrating. There was a single mother and her daughters, and they had this little white baby. And it was more than one video, and some of them were admitting, yeah, we aborted our black boys. We didn't want those. We didn't want those ends. And these are black females. So this is one of the reasons why, on the growing list of reasons why, when I hear black people running around talking about racism, I give them the side eye, because there are many more cases of bigotry, intra-racial bigotry that goes on in this country today than white on black racism in this country. And some of the disrespect that overall black people may think that they receive from American society, some of it is indirectly earned. Because one thing my dad used to tell me when I was a little boy, if you want others to respect you, you first have to respect yourself. And when people all over the world observe the famous cruelty that American blacks have on huge numbers against one another and how they treat each other, the world looks at that. The world looks at that. And there's no other group of people. There's no other group of people on the face of the earth. Not the Asians, not the whites. Well, whites maybe to a certain degree, but not anything that approaches the level of hatred amongst their own group that you will see amongst the blacks. And this is something that has been always worked on by the left white controllers. They've always worked to bring about this destruction. Now they're working on the larger population to divide the larger population. The black population was merely a petri dish of exploratory activities to see how they could possibly expand it to destroy the entire country. So if you want to destroy the country, destroy the families and destroy the relationship between men and women. Thus you have a country or society divided amongst itself, and it makes it much easier for enemies to come in and destroy the country. And this is the overall goal of the left. So the modern day black mammy is nothing more than another feather in the cap of leftist pigs who are out to destroy the country. Now and I have a vivid imagination. When I saw that last evening, that I have to admit, that was far beyond the realm of my imagination skills. Blew my mind. As much as I know about the horrendous things that go on in the black American community, that would escape me, my friends. It was brought to my attention. It's been going on for several years now, but it's been kept under wraps because the media, the liberal media, the leftist whites, and the black female hate black boys anyway. So it is what it is, as they say. And it may not be a big deal to you, but it is indirectly a big deal. Because, like I said, a country divided is a defeated country. And that's the way it is. In other news, people like Ted Cruz and others must think that we are morons. Have you noticed a lot of the people in Congress and the Senate are walking around saying, oh, Biden's not going to balance the budget. Biden's not going to balance the budget. Now, this is crazy. It is not Biden's responsibility to balance the budget. Constitutionally, it is up to the Congress to deal with the purse strings of America. They are the ones who are to set these spending boundaries. Now it's supposed to be approved or rejected by the president, but it is Congress. So when I see people like Senator Ted Cruz and others, Sherrod Brown of Ohio, all these knuckleheads running around talking about, Joe Biden's budget plans include American Jobs Plan and America's Family Plan and other wasteful entities that are just going to continue to expand record spending in America. Oh, mercy. What are we going to do? Because Biden will not balance the budget. Again, he is not responsible for that. So please, my friends, please. We got to pay attention to these issues. We got to pay attention to folks, especially these rhino Republicans. We really have to hone in on these people and what they're saying. And the reason why they're getting away with saying something like that, well, Joe Biden's not balancing the budget. The reason why they're getting away with it is because a lot of people don't know. But one thing we do know, we're celebrating St. Patty's Day as we continue on this, the Ron Edwards American Experience.
Let's stick in the shinty bowl, the brick, the brack, the crack, and all. Let's call it an Irish pub. Fresh out, go get it, pop, the Guinness pub.
Constitutional Grounds, the hot air roasted coffee that produces a smoother, richer, healthier, and less acidic coffee. Our unique hot air roasted coffee has a most delicious taste that everyone is raving about. Because you want the best, Constitutional Grounds is the coffee you want in your cup. Simply go to theronedwards.com and click on to the Constitutional Grounds coffee display to make your purchase, and to be sure to use the RE20 promo code and you will receive a 20% discount. Remember, Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup. If regime leader Biden and his cronies truly desire to alleviate the current petrol prices, he would have by now. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards on today's page from the Edwards Notebook, brought to you by Constitutional Grounds Coffee. The fact that Biden would rather beg Venezuela and Iran for oil than simply restore the free market liberties that were present during the presidency of Donald Trump, and in mere weeks the United States would be energy independent again. But most people are unaware or don't seem to care that Biden has been on an evil mission to undermine the United States ever since he was first elected to office in 1972. Biden has, like many Democrats and rhino Republicans, have used a variety of issues, policies, and methods to undermine our number one position in the world via the Green Movement, poking the Russian bear by working with NATO nations and Ukraine to undermine border agreements made with Russia years ago. Biden's open border policy is security disaster number one. I believe it's designed to enable millions of foreign criminals to combine with Biden's destructive policies to permanently damage our republic beyond repair. Do you miss Trump yet? I'm Ron Edwards. For Constitutional Grounds Coffee, simply go to theronedwards.com.
Ron Edwards.
The Bid podcast from BlackRock breaks down what's happening in the markets and explores the forces changing investing. Hear from leaders on a range of topics like sustainability and the path to net zero, genomics and other megatrends, technology, geopolitics, and more. Listen to The Bid wherever you get your podcasts.
We can argue about the melty half slice of cheese or the creamy tartar sauce, but no one can argue that a filet-o-fish could exist without the smooth, perfectly steamed buns that hold it together. Well, no one we want to know, anyway.
Enjoy all the things that make delicious more delicious. Go ahead. Order 2 Filet-O-Fish sandwiches now for just $6 at participating McDonald's. Single item at regular price. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
The new voice of America.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now to learn more.
800-281-6030. That's 800-281-6030.
The Ron Edwards American Experience, the talk show that celebrates America and reminds everyone she's worth fighting for. Join me, host Ron Edwards, and also don't miss a daily page from the Edwards Notebook Commentary right here on
K-Star Talk Radio Network.
Liberty Works Radio Network.
Last frequency.
LibertyTalk.fm.
The new voice of America.
We're back. You're listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience. I'm Ron Edwards, and happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. You know something, Senator Lindsey Graham, another untrustworthy individual, He said that, they had called the White House on January 6th of 2021 and said that lawmakers would ask cabinet members to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove then President Trump from office if he did not do more to condemn the rioters, the so-called rioters, at the Capitol. Now, that's according to a new book coming out by New York Times reporter Jonathan Martin and Alexander Burns. I find that very interesting because, first of all, President Trump had nothing to do with what went on there. And technically, the Patriots did not riot or do anything wrong on January 6th. They did not. There were insurgents and people who were working with the government to make it look like they were patriots involved in the melee that happened inside. And it's so twisted that the individual, the Capitol Police officer, the crooked black guy who blew away an unarmed individual in the Capitol, who had done no harm, by the way, he's still walking around free. It's as if he got a pat on the back and said, "Hey, good boy, sit, boo-boo, sit." Nothing happened to him. But yet these same people like Lindsey Graham Cracker are walking around today dealing with a so-called president named Joe Biden, who has single-handedly almost brought this country down to its knees, has made us once again very dependent upon enemies for oil. Did you know that oil imports are up to about 40% now? 40% of what we utilize in this country. And not long ago, we were an oil exporter, a natural gas exporter. We have so much of both in this country. The United States has enough of both to comfortably run the entire world. We have enough oil in one of our states, California, just California. Forget Texas and Pennsylvania and all those other places. But if just California, if we were just to say, you know what, we're just going to rely on one big state for all of our oil, California has enough full-bore production to last us 200 or 300 years. That's by itself. And let's not forget, if after 200 or 300 years you cap it, those wells would fill back up because the earth continues to resupply itself through whatever it's I don't know what the process is, but the earth continues to produce the oil that we need, the petrol that we need. And for us to even allow the so-called government officials to get away with what they're doing, and for Lindsey Graham Cracker to sit there, along with many others, you know, in fact, technically, if you want to get technical about it, since you're going to say that President Trump, and this is a lie. Well, Trump was in support of the riot. First of all, there wasn't a riot. Second of all, whatever happened then, most of it not done by any patriots. Everything that happened on that one day is nothing, is literally nothing compared to the damage that Joe Biden did in one day when he said no to the Keystone Pipeline. When he said yes to Iran, basically stick your ass up and I'll kiss it. I will endanger my country, the United States of America, by cutting off our oil and running around with hat in hand begging enemies to, give us oil. Talk about the 25th Amendment. And the guy's walking around, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But yet he has enough sense to make all these horrible decisions that are working against you and I. And Lindsey Graham Cracker runs around talking about nothing. A bunch of nothing. He has never been as upset concerning the real damage that Uncle Joe has been doing to this nation. Our prestige is so bad that Saudi Arabia is thinking about accepting Chinese, I think they're yuans or whatever, instead of the American doing business with the American dollar. And you know what that will do, my friends? You know what that will do? That will, at the very least, make the United States and China equal parties as far as being the dominant nations of the planet. And I don't know about you. Many people are always running around talking about the imperfections of the United States government. One of the reasons why you have so many crooked elements in the United States government in Washington, D.C. is because for too long, we the people have not cared about this country. We have not been involved. We have allowed crooks to run for office on the local level, which do what? Advance to the state and the national level. We have not been paying attention to what children have been taught in their government schools. We're beginning to now. But it is way, way, way after the horse has left the barn. And hopefully it's not too late if we all get together now. As I've said many times, it's going to take about 200 million Americans to stand up together and say no and push back and get involved in the various areas and fill the gap. I mean, every area of this country has been corrupted. The church, education, every area, farming, because of the policies of the Biden administration. There is not anything that you can point to that has not been overly corrupted in very short order. And I blame the American people, we the people who have allowed, for 40 years, have allowed the majority of American children to be turned into whatever. The yuan equals 16 cents. Yeah, my producer just popped that up on the scene here. Well, you know what? If they want to deal with 16 cents, if they'd rather deal with 16 cents compared to the dollar, have at it. But I think the Saudi Arabians, who are not stupid people, will look at that and say, you know what, maybe not now. But guess what? Your friend and my enemy, Joe Biden, will try to do whatever he can do to make sure that the United States dollar is worth less than 16 cents next to the yuan. That's how evil these people are. And people like other individuals like Lindsey Graham Cracker, they know this. Mike Pence, globalist Pence. I was so glad that Trump finally came out and said the other day, if he runs for office, he will not ask Mike Pence. And see, Mike Pence is the worst kind of slithering lizard. He's the worst kind. I'll explain, Lucy. He would quote scriptures. He knows the Bible better than Trump does. But yet Mr. Pence did not stand on biblical principles, even though he quoted scripture a lot. I give him a carrot. I give him a little bit of a star for showing up at the pro-life events and things of that nature. I mean, he did a few good things. But there are things that I have found out about Mr. Pence and his character. How dare he look at people like Trump and like they're bad people? I could talk about Pence, and maybe one day soon on this broadcast, I'll just spit it out. Pence is a horrible, horrible beast. And maybe that'll encourage you, my friends, to do a little digging. And you'll say, oh, well, excuse me. And those are the worst kind of people who have you thinking, yes, because I know scripture and this, that, and the other. But yet he was a backstabbing bastard. He really was. He helped bring harm to the Trump administration. It is a miracle that Trump was able to do all the good things that he did. When you consider that he was stabbed in the back by people like Pence, and at the same time, he had much opposition from his own party, from people like Deputy Drupalong. Mitch McConnell said, well, Trump agenda is not my agenda. He said that. And people wonder why, even in this state, when the Michigan Republican Party people have approached me, I tell them to go away because I don't trust them. You know, they're conservative up to a certain point, but they don't want you to go all the way. But yet they turn around and allow the left to just go all the way. Do you hear Lindsey Graham Cracker going after Omar or Ayok or people like that? No. No, you don't. No, you don't. Man, I hate to talk about sad stuff like this on St. Patty's Day. This is normally a very happy day. Oh, a happy day on Patty's Day. But you know what? All in all, it's about the truth and getting the truth out there. That should make you happy, the fact that I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. And I appreciate you supporting the people that advertise on this broadcast, especially Constitutional Grounds Coffee, and support of this broadcast, because it's one thing about that's about me. You may not agree with everything I say, but I am bound and determined to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as I always blow away the myths and reveal the truth right here on the Ron Edwards American Experience.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth on the Ron Edwards American Experience. Constitutional Grounds, the hot air roasted coffee that produces a smoother, richer, healthier, and less acidic coffee. Our unique hot air roasted coffee has a most delicious taste that everyone is raving about. Because you want the best, Constitutional Grounds is the coffee you want in your cup. Simply go to theronedwards.com and click on to the Constitutional Grounds coffee display to make your purchase, and to be sure to use the RE20 promo code and you will receive a 20% discount. Remember, Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day, or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884. Know someone with a drinking or drug problem? Learn how to get sober after we share these stories.
I was 35 with 2 beautiful children when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. After my divorce, I went into a depression cycle and started drinking more often and using prescription drugs. After my second DWI and arrest, my ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me.
I was 17 when I became addicted to heroin and meth. I thought I could quit on my own, but I couldn't. It hit me when I was arrested.
Get sober now. Your private insurance may cover costs, and we'll get you here. It's simple. Just call Elite Rehab Placement right now. Please, don't wait. Your life matters to us. 800-213-9264. Call right now before it's too late. 800-213-9264.
Are you enjoying a cup of tea and listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience? Man, it doesn't get any better than that.
Absolutely. That's true, especially on this St. Patrick's Day. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards, and thank you so much for joining me. Folks, in fact, in Scotland are now joining in on the listening of the Ron Edwards American Experience. And folks around the world, the reason why people around the world are listening is because everyone, not everyone, but many people around the world desire one thing, and that is true liberty. And that's what we're about. Yes, this is based in the United States of America, but it's also based upon the principles brought forth in the Ten Commandments, which are universal, which, if adhered to, would bring about much liberty for everyone. And speaking of one, the heroics of St. Patrick are not appreciated as much as they should be, even on March 17th on a yearly basis. Fortunately, St. Patrick's writings, though quite slim, are eye-opening accounts of his life. For instance, Letter to the Soldiers of Coroticus and the Confession reveal much about the great man known as St. Patrick. Along with other sources, they paint a picture of his saintliness. Patrick was born in the Britain of the 4th century to wealthy parents. It is likely that he was baptized, though growing up he did not share his family's faiths. He, as a youth, was an atheist. When he was 15, he committed what he said was a grave sin, never saying exactly what it was. It appears it was a sexual encounter with a young girl. No matter, it would haunt him throughout his entire life. At age 15 or 16, the accounts vary, Patrick was kidnapped and enslaved by Irish barbarians. They had come to plunder his family's estate and took him away in chains to Ireland. While a slave, he converted to Christianity, praying incessantly at all hours of the day. After 6 years, he escaped and made his way back home. His family thought he was dead, and with good reason. No one taken by Irish raiders had managed to escape and return. St. Patrick biographer Philip Freeman described how his family received him, stating it was as if a ghost had returned from the land of the dead. After he returned home, he had a vision while sleeping. He felt called to return to Ireland. This seemed bizarre. This is where he was brutalized as a slave. But he knew what Jesus had commanded us to do: love thy enemy. He was convinced that God was calling him to become a missionary to Ireland. So he acted on it, despite the reservations of family and friends. Patrick became a priest, practiced celibacy, and was eventually named a bishop. Contrary to what many believe, he did not introduce Christianity to Ireland, nor was he Ireland's first bishop. But he did more to bring the gospel to Ireland than anyone else, converting legions of pagans, especially in the northern parts of the island. His missionary work in Ireland has been duly noted, but his strong defense of human rights has not been given its due. No public person before him had denounced slavery, widespread though it was. Jesus was agnostic on the subject, so they say. Aristotle thought it was a natural way of life, and neither master nor slave saw anything fundamentally wrong with it. But Patrick did. Though he did not invoke natural law specifically, he was instinctively drawn to it. He taught that all men were created equal in the eyes of God, and that the inherent dignity of everyone must be respected. St. Patrick did more than preach. He lashed out at the British dictator Coroticus, harshly rebuking him for his mistreatment of the Irish. In fact, Patrick found his Irish converts to be more civilized than Coroticus and his band of brutish thugs. Patrick was way ahead of his time in the pursuit of human rights. Not only were men of every social status entitled to equal rights, so were women in his eyes. In his letter to the soldiers of Coroticus, he scolds the tyrant Coroticus, a man with no respect for God or his priests. More important, he made a startling plea. They must also free Christian women and captives. His reasoning showed the power of his faith when he said, "Remember, Christ died and was crucified for these people." He did not mince words. So Coroticus, you and your wicked servants, where do you think you will end up? You have treated baptized Christian women like prizes to be handed out, all for the sake of the here and now, this brief, fleeting world. What makes this all the more dramatic is the way the pagan world thought about women. The idea that women were equal to men was totally foreign to them, but the women understood what Patrick was saying and gravitated to him in large numbers. The Christian tenet that all humans possess equal dignity had taken root. Did the Irish save civilization, as Thomas Cahill maintains? Freeman thinks not. It had never been lost. But everyone agrees that had it not been for St. Patrick and the monasteries that followed, much of what we know about the ancient world would not exist. Indeed, it is difficult to fathom how classical Greek and Roman literature would have survived had it not been for the Irish monks who attracted students from many parts of Europe. They are responsible for preserving the great works of antiquity, and all of them are indebted to St. Patrick. It is believed that he died on March 17th, sometime during the second half of the 5th century. That is the feast day, the source of many celebrations in his honor. His impact extends far beyond the Irish and the Catholic Church. Human rights are a global issue, making him a very special person in human history. May God bless St. Patrick. And yes, he was truly a great individual. Something that we should not forget as we continue to celebrate St. Patrick's Day 2022. So my friends, when you think about individuals like St. Patrick, remember the reason why he is remembered is because of the great things he did in his life. And it might let his life encourage you to make history now by standing up for what is right. We as Americans can unite on those very principles that St. Patrick stood for. Let us honor his memory by ourselves standing up for what is right, what is true, what is good, according to God's principles. For we, the people of the United States of America, are indebted to people like St. Patrick, who thought of liberty long before even the United States was a thought. So, my friends, don't forget the legacy of people like St. Patrick who put it all on the line. I think in the annals of history of today, it is our time to put it all on the line for liberty, for the belief in God Almighty, and for those who will be coming after us. For what will we leave behind, my friends? That day is coming when we will all be called out of here. Do you want to leave behind what the left are working to build now? Or do you want to leave a legacy of greatness, of liberty, a belief in Christ, and true liberty and justice for all? We all have that choice, my friends. St. Patrick made a great choice. What will you choose? What path will you choose, my friends? Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the Ron Edwards American Experience. And now that I see very clearly that my time is up, I thank you so much for sharing your time with me on this, the Ron Edwards American Experience, my friends. For without you, there is no Ron Edwards American Experience.